suffering through that as well. But yeah. So if you've been paying attention the last few weeks, we've been talking about what? Hashtag blessed. So what does that mean? What does blessed mean? Now, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. This is actually my first time speaking in this large of a group. So I'm used to like high schoolers or young adults that they're very lively. So my young adults team out there, like just shout out with me when I need your help. So blessed is an interesting concept. What does it mean to be blessed? Well, that's what I was asking myself as I was preparing for this is, what does blessing actually look like? And the first thing I can think of is, well, what's the opposite of blessing? Curses, or lack of blessing, needing and need. And I was okay, if we can understand what blessing is, to understand what blessing is, we need to understand what it is without blessing. So, to get into that, we're going to look at covenant blessings. What is a covenant blessing? Covenant is a Christianese word we kind of hear a lot. If you're in the church a lot, you might know this word, but if you didn't grow up in the church, or if you're not privy to that word, it's not used every day. Covenant. It means like a promise, or a deal, or a partnership. And we even use it in marriage. A covenant marriage requires a man and a wife and God. It's like a three-way thing. It's with God. But I got this video I wanted to show you guys. I'm a visual learner, and I'm a little bit ADD, so I need to have things to watch it sometimes. But I'm going to play this quick little video and pay attention to what covenant is.
If you've been around Christians, you've probably heard of the idea of having a personal relationship with God, which could mean different things in the Bible, like having God as a friend, or your father, or maybe your teacher.
But there's one particular way that the Bible talks about this relationship that you find all over. But strangely, we don't talk about it that much, and that's the idea of a partnership with God.
A partnership like working alongside someone to accomplish a goal together.
Right, and this is actually what you see at the beginning of the Bible. God creates this good world full of all of this potential. And then God appoints these unique creatures, humans, as his partners in bringing more and more goodness out of all that potential.
But the humans don't want to partner with God. They rebel and try to create a world on their own terms.
And so this broken partnership is the Bible's explanation for why we're stuck in a world of corruption and injustice and the tragedy of death.
It's not like there's just one or two humans who have bailed on this relationship. In the story of the Bible, everyone has abandoned the partnership with God.
So what God does is select a smaller group of people out of the many, and he makes a new partnership with them called a covenant. And in a covenant, God makes promises, and then in exchange asks his partner to fulfill certain commitments. And the purpose of all of this is to somehow use this covenant relationship to renew his partnership with everybody else.
Now, there are actually 4 times in the Old Testament that we're told God initiates a covenant relationship with Noah, Abraham, the nation of Israel, and King David.
And it's through these that God is forming a covenant family into which all people will eventually be invited.
So let's see how these work. The first one is with Noah.
So in this story, God has just brought the flood to cleanse the world of humanity's corruption, and Noah and his family are the only ones left. And so God makes a covenant with Noah, saying, listen, I know that humans will continue to be evil, but despite that, I'm not going to destroy it like this again. Instead, the earth will be this reliable place for us to work together.
Great. So what does Noah have to do?
Nothing. And that's what's so interesting about this first covenant, is that God is promising to be faithful, even though he knows humans won't be.
The next time we see God make a covenant is with a man named Abraham. God chooses him, promises to bless him, give him a large family, lots of land where they can flourish.
And in return, God asks Abraham to trust him and train up his family to do what is right and just. And the whole reason for this covenant is God says that somehow he's going to bring his blessing to all families of the world through this one family.
So that's Abraham. The next time we see God make a covenant is when Abraham's family grows into the tribe of Israel.
And this covenant is with the whole tribe. God asks them to obey a set of laws, which are these guidelines for living well as a community of God's partners. And if they do this, then God promises to bless them, and that they will become a people who then represent him to the rest of humanity.
That's the covenant with Israel. The last covenant is with King David.
Yeah, the tribe of Israel has become this large nation, ruled by David. And God asked David and his descendants to partner with him by leading Israel in obeying the laws and doing what is right and just. And God promises that one day, one of David's sons will come and extend God's kingdom of peace and blessing over all the nations.
So those are the 4 covenants that God makes in order to restore his partnership with the whole world.
So, little lesson there on covenant. If you need a little teaching on the Bible Project, they're a great group. They do little videos and stuff. I use that all the time for my life group. But covenant. So we have a better understanding of what covenant is now, right? It's a promise. It's a relationship that we make. The covenant I want to talk about today is the one that they mentioned is the third one, is the one with Israel, the Mosaic covenant. The covenant at the end of the Torah. If you don't know what the Torah is, it's the first 5 books of the Bible. And it goes over the different, it's the base laws, it's the base rules that we go over. Deuteronomy is what we're reading after. So if you'd stand with me for the reading of the scripture. We're going to be in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Now it shall be, if you diligently listen to and obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all of his commandments, which I am commanding you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth. All these blessings will come upon you and overtake you if you pay attention to the voice of the Lord your God. Jesus, help these words that you have shown us to come to life in us. Amen. You may be seated. So, let's break this down a little bit. Now, if is a big word. I don't know if you've ever said something that if you do this, I will do this. If you don't, it gets really tricky. Another thing I want to point out here is if you pay attention to the voice of the Lord, it will overtake you. This is a type of blessing that will chase you down. Does that make sense? It will follow you. It will go wherever you go. Wherever you can run away, you can't get away from it. It will chase you down. It's a blessing that will overtake you. Now, what are the blessings? Chase, let's go to the next verse, please. You will be blessed in the city. You'll be blessed in the field. You'll be blessed out of town. You'll be blessed downtown. You'll be blessed in your house. You'll be blessed with the mouse. You'll be blessed with the fox. You'll be blessed in the box. You'll be blessed everywhere you go. You'll be blessed. The offspring, your kids will be blessed. The produce of the ground, the offspring of your animals, the offspring of your herd, and the young of your flock will be blessed. Everything you're involved with will be blessed. Your baskets, your kneading bowls will be blessed. Your wallets, your accounts, your organization, your home, your car will be blessed. You'll be blessed when you go in, and you'll be blessed when you go out. I don't know about you, but I kind of want that type of blessing, right? We all agree with that? This blessing goes everywhere with you. You can't run away from it. Let's go on. The Lord will cause the enemies who rise up against you to be defeated before you. So who does it? Who does the battle? God does. And what do? They come at you against you one way, but they will flee 7 ways. The Lord will command the blessings upon you in your storehouses and in all that you undertake. And he will bless you in the land which the Lord God gives you. Sounds pretty good so far. Amen. The Lord will establish you as a people, holy, set apart, separated from the world, separated from all of this junk that we see every single day. Holy, set apart. To himself, just as he has sworn to you. If you see that word again. If you keep the commandments of the Lord your God and walk, that is, live your life once a day, once a week, every other Tuesday. Live your life each and every day in his ways. So that all the people of the earth will see that you are called by the name of the Lord. And they will be afraid of you. Well, wait, why would they be afraid of you? What is that? They will be afraid of you since they have nothing on you. They can't influence you. They can't, steal away your joy or your peace or anything that's about you. Have you ever met someone that you got nothing on them? They kind of intimidate you because you're like, wow, this person, got it all together. And I know that when I see someone who's got it all together, I see that I don't. Anyone with me on that? I had a friend that no matter what, if I did what he did, I'd get in trouble. Things would blow up in my face. But whatever he did was just successful. It was crazy. And I was like, why is this guy so successful? And I found out he's extremely quiet about this. But the guy owns an orphanage in Africa. It's like, what? It's like he takes away a large portion of his income and he goes to Africa once a year. The times that I would go on vacation, maybe go on a cruise or relax, this guy goes to Africa to love on these kids, and he doesn't flaunt it. He doesn't tell others, oh, look what I can do. I knew him 2 or 3 years before I even found out about this. That is what we call the favor of God. This guy, whatever he touches, is blessed. My dad calls it the fog. Favor of God. The fog. Have you ever seen someone with the fog? It just floats around and so forth. When you follow God and when you are blessed by God, there's this fog that covers you. Things that would blow up in other people's faces and mess up is that just God takes care of it. It's weird. It's not like the guy did the best things. It's just that God took care of whatever happened. Does that make sense? Yeah. Do we want that in our lives? Let's go to the next slide, please. The Lord will give you great prosperity in the offspring of your body and the offspring of your life. So is he repeating himself here? It sounds like he's trying to sink this into us. In the land which the Lord swore to your fathers to give you, the Lord will open for you his good treasure house, the heavens, to give rain to you, your lands, in its season, and to bless all the work of your hands, everything you touch. And you will lend to many nations, but you will not borrow. Sounds pretty good, right? You'll be the lender, not constantly the borrower. And you will be above only. And you will not be beneath. I see that word again, if you listen and pay attention to the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today, to observe them carefully. So we're all on the same page of what blessing looks like, right? We understand this now. We've seen the examples of blessings. But he keeps on bringing this up, if you command. So what if we don't obey those commands? What does that look like? Do not turn aside from any of the words which I am commanding you today, to the right or to the left. Follow or to serve other gods. Now today in America, I don't think we're too often tempted to go to a wood inn or statue or something like that and pray to it. But what is a God? When we worship and serve God, it's something greater than us that we adore, that we worship. And we're supposed to worship the one God who is worthy of our adoration, who is worthy of our worship. And anything else we put in our life that takes us away from doing that is another God. Does that make sense? Do we understand that? Because when we care, that's why they say the love of money, that could be a God. The love of your things, the love of, sometimes people put their health as a God. They care more about their body than their spiritual body. They care more about their appearance than they do about what they look like to God. Any of that is this, serving other gods. That's going to the left or going to the right. We see that word again. But if. But it shall come about if you do not listen to and obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I commanding you today, that all these curses will come upon you. Now, time out. Before we get into this, I don't want to scare anybody, okay? But I do want to make some points here. Just like when a mom tells little Jimmy, don't go touch the stove. What is mom doing? Mom is giving little Jimmy the blessing of experience and of safety from harm. Now, does mommy burn little Jimmy's hand when he touches that stove? Or does the result of not listening to mommy causes little Jimmy's hand to get burned? I want to make that, I don't want people to miss this, okay? God loves you. He cares for you. He wants you to have these blessings. Okay? We good on that? Just like when we hide from the sun and we complain that we're in darkness, it's the same way when we hide from the Son of God that our lives are in darkness. Okay, does that make sense? I just want to touch on that. I don't want to get anyone confused on this. Okay, so what happens if we don't accept or live out the blessings that God has offered us? We get the consequences of not being with God. And if we know God is love, why do we stray away from Him? Why do we get distracted about it? Why do we, play with it but don't get serious in it? Let's see what happens when we don't do this. You'll be cursed in the city, you'll be cursed in the field, your baskets and your kneading bowl will be cursed, the offspring, your kids will be cursed, the produce of your lands will be cursed, the offspring of your herd will be cursed, the young of your flock will be cursed, you'll be cursed when you come in and you'll be cursed when you go out. It's the same type of cursing, but as is blessing. It will chase you down. Wherever you go, you can't get away from it. Again, this is like living in the dark when you have the opportunity to live in the light. That's the difference. Now, this is Moses talking to the Israelites, which we saw a little bit in the video. He touched on the people of God. Now, these, if you've ever seen, or read Exodus, or seen, the Prince of Egypt, that was my generation, is you saw them leaving slavery and coming out of that, and then having the opportunity of blessing. Now Moses is warning them. This is at the very end of his ministry. Literally after this speech, the guy goes on the mountain and dies. Because he's done it all. He's laid it all out. He's not left anything on the table. Okay? And he warns them. He gives them a sight of what blessing looked like, what we just read. And then he lists the curses. We just read the first list. Let's go to the next slide. This is a paraphrase of the next 67 verses within the chapter. If I made the same text without cutting out all the verbiage and so forth, it would be 8 slides. Okay? I'm not going to read all this. That's not the goal. The goal isn't to be afraid of this, but to be aware of that. Does it make sense? The list is 4 times longer than the list of blessings. Why? Because Moses knows the Israelites. He's been living with them his whole life, virtually. He sees that they're not going to get it. They're not going to see the benefit of the blessings. I'm going to have to warn them about all the curses. Just like mommy looks bad when he says, don't touch that. And little Jimmy thinks mommy's holding out. Mommy doesn't have to say, well, if you touch that, it's a height of Fahrenheit that your skin will be burnt and you'll have 1 to 2 degrees of... No. Mommy doesn't go into that all the time. Moses did. The sad thing is, I don't know what difference it made. The next slide is the opening of much of this, where Moses gives the Israelites a choice. And it's the same choice I believe we have today. I have set before you life and death, blessings or curses. They're on the table. You can pick either one. You could go either way. Know that there is life with blessing or death and curses. Therefore, choose life, is what Moses says, which I encourage you today. Choose life. It's a choice that's set before you, that you and your family may live. This is Moses' offer to them. The same offer I'm making today. Now, one thing I want to point out is that after this speech, Moses goes to his mountain and he dies. and the Israelites then go 900 years and experience, if you go back one slide, they experience all of this. They experience it all. They go into slavery twice after being promised that if you obey me, I will save you from slavery, as I already did once. They do all these things. They go back and forth. They are a free nation, but then they see other nations having kings, and they're like, oh, we want a king. Please give us a king. And God gives them a king because they ask for it. And then they're like, oh, why do we have taxes? And why do we have to have this army? And then they're worried about, oh, the Syrians are coming to take us away. Oh, God, come save us. And then God saves them. And then they get content. And then they get lazy. Or then they forget the promises of God. And then the Babylonians come. And 900 years of this, of exactly what this is, they experience. And you think after like the first two, they would be like, okay, I get it. What is God trying to show us in the Old Testament? Who are the Israelites today? The Israelites are an example of our life with God. How if we don't follow God, we will be in the dark. And how God multiple times saves the day. And he'll do that to you. But this is not purely a message of where you're going after you die. There's that. If you haven't heard about the covenant, I'm going to go into that more. But this is about the rest of your life and how you're going to live it out. Jeremiah, if you go 2 more slides, Chase. At the end of this 900 year, Jeremiah shows up. And all of this has happened. And he says this. This is the Lord through Jeremiah. I will come to you and fulfill my good promise to you, to bring you back to this place. The place is the promised land. The land that God promised. The land of blessing. The land of no curses. God is saying, I'm going to come back. Who's doing it? Who's doing the work here? God. God is doing it. For I know, we say this verse a lot. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Just like mommy does not plan on harming little Jimmy, and Jimmy gets burned, God did not want that for the Israelites. And he doesn't want it for us. And he's giving us today the opportunity to choose between life and death. Plans to give you a hope and a future. I don't want to give you guys in despair to see that whole list on the screen. I had to be very careful on how I present this because it can be really depressing if you leave that screen there. But God has a plan to give you hope and a future. Next one. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen. Do you know you have God's ear? That you know when you make a call, when you pray, he answers. He hears you. He doesn't leave you hanging. Even when they were slaves, before the promises was given to them, God says, I heard you. I heard your cries when you were in slavery. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart. Let me say that again. You will seek me and find me when you look for me a little bit and spend 5 minutes and get bored. When you get distracted because something else happens, I'm not going to go to this again. No, seek me with all of your heart. I will be found by you and bring you back from curses, captivity. This sounds a lot like Matthew 7 and Luke 9. Seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened. It's the same lesson. Knock, the door will be open. Seek and you will find me. Seek, knock with all of your heart. Next slide. Sorry. I need a water. It doesn't stop there. Jesus made a new covenant. He makes a new opportunity. Jeremiah is about to talk about that. But I want to let you know something. This isn't a message of do good to get good. It's a message of a warning that when you don't do good, it makes other results happen. Be aware. I want to give this example of the chair. I can know of the chair, right? I know of the chair, right? I can tell you about, hey, there's a chair over there. I can even go as far and let you know the dimensions of the chair. I can let you know the material makeup of the chair. I can let you know where the chair was made. I can let you know the original Greek, the word for chair. I think it's chair. I can also let you know that if you put it next to a table, it looks really nice. I can even let you know that, I can let you know other people, I can list you the names of other people who sit in this chair. Pastor Andrew, he sat in this chair. Pastor Andrew sat in this chair. Oh, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Do I believe in the chair? Pause. What does the word belief mean? To trust and put your weight into it. Have I done that yet? No. Next slide. Behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when I will make a new covenant, an opportunity with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Not like the old covenant, which I made with their fathers in the days when I took them by the hand to bring them out of Egypt. My covenant, which they broke, although I was a husband to them. We talk about covenant in marriage. God is a great example of a husband. He is the ultimate groom. He is willing to shake our hand, even though we're going to break our promise, knowing that He has put it out there for us. Now, there's the chair. Here's the chair. This is the opportunity we have. Too often do we show up on Sundays and we're like, hey, brother, how's it going? Oh, yeah, things are good. That's my back's hurting me. Yeah. My knees are a little weak. Yeah. But it's all good. I know about the chair. Right? When do we get blessing? When do we feel, when it says His burden is light, what does that mean? Until we sit. When I'm doing this, I don't have to carry myself anymore. My own weight is not on my shoulders. I have to do something. I have to trust that this chair will hold me. I have to rely. If this chair right now physically snapped, I'd be on the floor. But aren't we glad we have a good and amazing, great God that is the ultimate releaser of our burdens, that we can truly trust, and not just say we trust, but actually fully trust in Him.
Keep bouncing.
Let's go to the last slide. One more back. Each man will no longer teach his neighbor about the chair, saying, know the chair, know the Lord. They don't have to talk about it anymore. We don't have to tell people how nice the Lord is or how good the Lord is. But they will know me, God, through what? Personal experience. If you have not had a personal experience with God, today's the opportunity. If you haven't felt the release of the weight on your shoulders for a very long time, today's the day. From the least to the greatest, no matter what your sin history may be, the Lord will no longer forgive you from your wickedness. He will no longer remember their sins. It is cast as far as the left is from the right, the east is from the west. It's gone. But you have to believe. You have to put your weight on it. If there's parts of your life that you've been holding back on God, may it be your relationships, may it be your finances, may it be your free time, and then you're wondering why you don't feel the blessing. It's because you haven't put your weight into it. Because you truly haven't trusted and believed. Moses said it right. I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Therefore choose life. Please bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity for life. Thank you for not just leaving us in darkness, not leaving us a way out. You have given us an invitation to sit and trust in you, to find rest and peace that passes understanding. It doesn't make sense. That's why we have to fully trust in you. With everyone's eyes closed, if this is the first time you've had the opportunity to hear the covenant blessings, or this is the first time you actually feel like this is what I want for my life, I want you to stand and come to the cross. Sit at the feet of the cross. If you feel like now is your time because you're tired of standing, it's because it is. Will our prayer team please come forward? For those of us who have been standing around the chair, talking about the chair, memorizing the chair, maybe leaning on it occasionally, 2 hours a week, only on Sundays or when it's convenient, or when we really are broken and we have to sit in the chair, and once we build our strength, we go back away. If we've done that, if you've done that, today's the day to put your full weight into it, to not hold back, to put everything in God's hands. I'm going to stand here, and the prayer team's going to be up here, and you can talk to us and pray with us and ask, how can I actually do this? Because it's scary when you first feel that moment of release. It feels like you're falling because you don't have control, but that's the point. You're not supposed to be in control. Life groups helps. Community helps. Get connected. Talk to one of us after service. Dear Lord, thank you again for your life-bringing message, for your word that never comes back void. Bless us and keep us. Help us not to do this on our own anymore. Help us to rely on you in all that we do. In Jesus' name. Amen. Be blessed. Have safe travels. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you and your family had a wonderful dinner this Thanksgiving, and safe travels as you make it back home if Naples isn't your hometown. Thank you for coming. God bless.